Hello everyone, and welcome to Sakura Wars, the 2019 game, because it shares the exact same title as the original 96 game, which I just beat for the first time earlier this week. Alright, so we could start a new game here. The fact that it's automatically highlighting continue is there to say that I have played this game before, clearly. But there's a little something in extras I want to do to make this playthrough a little special. Offensive, only applied to a character's standard appearance. Alright then. That's fine then. So I'm not allowed to change their battle costumes. Alright, so really the only DLC you ever get for Sakura Wars is extra costumes for the characters. And because I just got the physical launch edition, like 8 months after launch, I only have the stage classics pack. I don't know. And yep. So I will just set everybody to their special costumes. You can only do it from the start screen. You're not allowed to change it in-game. Alright then. So we'll start a new game. However, it's not exactly a new game. I am going to be playing on New Game Plus. Why is that? For the simple reason that New Game Plus really doesn't change anything. The only thing gameplay related that carries forward is the every character's morale level, which does affect their skill in combat, but not that much. So I don't really have any issue with that. Going over to New Game Plus just brings over all of my completion data from the original game, which means it remembers what events I've seen, which special pictures I've collected, how many Koi Koi games I've won, what BattleBot simulations I've done, and I'm doing that because not only do I just want to play this game again a second time, I want to go for the Platinum Trophy. My tutorial windows. Yes, that's actually a really nice thing. Yes, I would like to. I know how to play this game. And I feel like I can explain it well enough to you guys. So how many of you guys are familiar with the Sakura Wars series as a whole? I wouldn't be surprised if it's not that much. Well, I feel bad for talking through this scene. I didn't want to talk over that because that was the original Sakura from the original games. This is technically a soft reboot, I should say. So it takes place 10 years, I believe, after the original games. It's still in the same continuity, but it's very far removed. This line right there saying Tokyo, Paris, and New York stood up to fight the demons. Not a single one returned. That's their way of writing out all of the original characters, so you don't have to worry about all that old baggage, and we can get introduced to a new cast. But, you know, I think it was a smart move to make a soft reboot. You consider that in Japan, this came out 14 years after the last main game, 11 years after the last game in the series at all. And in America, we're barely familiar with the old games. Because of the 5 original Sakura Wars games, we only got 5. Not 5 out of... Oh god, I'm talking too loud. We didn't get 5 of them. We only got the 5th game, which was also decently far removed from the other 4, so it wasn't too bad. But for the most part, we're aware of Sakura Wars through its other stuff. The original anime was kind of like a cult classic in the early anime scene in America. Characters have appeared in Project Cross Zone game, and meet our protagonist, Seijuro Kamiyama, dressed up as Martin from that one Simpsons joke. Not quite perished, my lady love, although sometimes I wish I had. I'm already taken aback. Of course, I did my first playthrough in all the characters' default costumes. So here in the West, we've never had too much of a connection with Sakura Wars. But in Japan, this series was a really big deal in its early days. Like, the original game on the Saturn was a flagship title in the early days of the system. And it started off a big franchise that expanded into anime, a movie, manga, a store, a long-running stage show. Already the game is doing something that really bothers me, where if it's a cutscene where the characters are not voiced, but they're still pantomiming it all, so you can't just like mash through all the text. Ooh, what's this thing on the floor here? You play coming. Well, it's... Huh. Yeah, they are never going away in this series. That's always the basic point of Sakura Wars. I don't know if you... Oh, the theater's attached to the hotel. I never realized that. Not the theater, the station. So as you might be able to tell by the way every character is dressed, these games are a period piece. The original, I believe, took place in 1929. The other ones sort of followed a couple years after this. This one is 1940. Admittedly, this whole backstory of how all of this horrible stuff went down, they're not talking about the events of the previous games, they're talking about something that happened after it. Really kind of makes those older games feel like they didn't amount to much, if still terrible things happened afterwards. So now that we've been introduced to our main character, Kamiyama, I want to take a little second to address something that's a very important thing to the Sakura Wars series as a whole. It's voice cast. You know, they're not just the voice cast of the games. They are very much its heart and soul. I don't know where he pulled those swords from. On his normal costume, he has sheaths. That was a good try there, Kamiyama. So, in recognition of how much the voice actors mean to these games, I'm going to specifically highlight all of the major voices. Seijuro Kamiyama is voiced by Yohei Azakami. He has not really done too much else of note. This is actually a pretty earlier big role for him. However, I will give the man props for one specific thing. His commitment to the character. Sakura Wars, the voice actors would always reprise their roles for the stage shows, and they would play the exact same characters they voiced live on stage. This game brought back the stage shows. However, Kamiyama is the only actor that returns. Everyone else is played by someone else. So, good on him. I can't say why no one else does, but I'm sure they've got their reasons. I gotta head to now if you'll excuse me, I gotta run to work. As you can clearly see, I am dressed for the occasion. Now, this is something that I could forgive in the first game, but by this game, it's a little bit weird. The fact that Kamiyama's taken aback by the fact that I've been sent to this theater. Like, I'm pretty sure he was already told, that he'd be working for the Imperial Combat Revue. Considering how famous they are, you think everybody would know, okay, they are based out of this theater. But I guess that's supposed to still be a secret? Wow, Sakura. You dress a lot differently than when I knew you as a kid. Here we have our sort of main character of the game. You can tell because her name is Sakura, dressed as Kazam, the Shaquille O'Neal character. Did you know that movie's on Disney Plus? My family started a Disney Plus trial earlier this week, so I was just kind of scrolling through what they had, and then immediately went to watching The Lion King. But they have Kazam on there, and I'm like, wow, I'm sure a bunch of people want to watch this movie. Also, Disney Plus has American Dragon Jake Long, and that's very exciting. As you could tell by my videos, that's a series I did watch a lot as a kid. And now this was a big deal to longtime Sakura Wars fans. Meet Sumire Kanzaki. She is one of the OG cast members from the original games. And the reason it's such a big deal she's here is, first of all, she is the only returning cast member, aside from small appearances from Sakura, like we saw at the beginning. But because Sumire's voice actor, Michie Tomizawa, retired from the role at the beginning of the 2000s. And for the most part, they had written Sumire out of the series in order to respect the actress's wishes. Having her back, original voice and all, is a very nice treat to longtime fans. Skipped a grade, shortly admitted to Naval Academy. You served with distinction across many nations. Clearly, you're not a very good dresser, though. You were made captain of the coastal defense ship. I can only hope not dressed like that. I wish that was a thing. Like, we could see him back in his naval captain days in the Phantom of the Opera costume. Your modesty. Clearly not in your dress, though. You are extra as fuck, man. What do I know about them? Oh, they literally saved Japan. I feel like you should know everything about them. Like, why do I even have to do this dialogue choice? Fine, alright. Gotta get all the new players up to speed. So as you can see, this game uses a dialogue choice system. Am I still talking too loud? I don't have OBS up. I think I'm probably okay. I'll move the mic back a little bit. Yeah, so I'll scooch my chair back. Alright, the dialogue choice system, or the LIPS system as it's referred to, is a staple of the Sakura Wars series dating back to the first game. In a lot of choices, you are given 3 options, or sometimes less, it's not more, of what to say, and unless it's like a mandatory exposition thing like this, you have a time limit to decide what you're going to say. You do need to read the situation, because who you're talking to, what everyone's mood is, and the contents of what you're saying is important, because it affects other characters' relationships with you. Note that silence is a valid option. You can just say nothing, let the situation play out without your input. And it's not like other games where you'd think, like, okay, saying nothing is just the pure neutral route, like, I don't know what to do, I just want to play it neutral. Sometimes silence does legitimately get you points. And I imagine there's probably times where you lose points for it. Generally, there's not too many. The only time I'm ever silent is if I'm looking at the dialogue choices I'm given and I think, like, okay, none of these look good. Like, I don't think the character would say any of this, so I'm just going to be quiet. But for the most part, you do get to play the character how you want. Now, of course, that does mean that you do have to be cautious. You can play the game like a total asshole. That is very much a viable option. But no one on your team is going to like you. And that will affect their performance in battle. Now, in this game, that's not as big of an issue as it is the older ones. I'll get into that when we get to the combat. Now, I will say, having the now the knowledge of playing the first game behind me because, well, the first game was never released in. Well, the first game was never released in English. A fan translation was released at the end of 2019. If you want to set up a Saturn emulator, which Mendefen honestly wasn't too bad to set up. Oh, she didn't like that. Yeah, so you do get immediate feedback as to whether your dialogue choice was good or not by a chime. If it's going up in tone, then it was good. If it's going down, it was bad. Now, one of the benefits to playing a New Game Plus file is on my first playthrough, I maxed basically everybody out. So I can handle a little bit of bad press this time. It's fine. Alright, my first job. Win the games. Should I know what that is? Again, well, considering the participants, it's basically the Olympics. I would think you should at least know what it is. Yeah, sometimes this whole, like, you gotta introduce things to the player really does not make sense within the world. So, oh yeah, I was saying earlier, now that I have the hindsight of playing the first game behind me where Sumire was introduced, it's amazing how much different her character is in this game. Like, I don't know how much her character would have evolved across the series, but going from when she was young to this older, more mature version, she has gotten a lot nicer. She was a real bitch in the first game. And that was her character, and that was what made a lot of people... that was fun for a lot of people. She was probably my least favorite of the original Flower Division. I can at least tell you for a fact she was not the character I got the ending in the first game. You know what, I guess I can tell you now, if you're familiar with Sakura Wars. In the first game, I got the Koran ending. I was kind of going for Kana, but I just kind of let the chips fall where they may, and you know what, I liked Koran. I liked her a lot. I do not regret getting her ending. She's not in this game. It's fine. Yes, so despite the fact that this series is a very steampunk tech kind of thing, they still kind of have to keep up with the times, so I do still have a cell phone. Yes. Oh, come on, listen. Listen, Sumire, if you're gonna send a test message, you gotta be a little more fun than that. Well, sadly, as they say, it's receive only, so I don't know how everyone else is sending me messages. You would think that if there were models that could also send them, I would get one. So let's get around to meeting all the members of the Flower Division. As Sumire explained and I was completely talking over, the Flower Division is a troupe of female performers, a troupe spelled T-R-O-U-P-E, that doubles as a troop, T-R-O-O-P, to fight off demons. I think that it actually kind of amazes me that a clever translation joke like that can exist and the official games don't take advantage of it. Like, they always just go with Combat Revue, Flower Division. The fan translation does use Imperial Assault Troop, and, you know, that's actually a pretty clever translation. The problem is the fact that this translation came out at the end of 2019 when there were official translations, so they probably should have just followed the official one. I don't know. You know, there weren't that many games, but there was an anime, there was one game, and there were appearances in Project Cross Zone. So we've already been introduced to Sakura, who is our childhood friend, which of course means that she can't be the character we get the romantic ending with. And just in case you were a little bit confused, she's not the same Sakura as in the original. She happens to share the same name, and she's proud of that because she idolizes the original Sakura Shinguji. But she is a completely new character. And it's worth noting that because she is the main character, she's definitely the one the game pushes the hardest to be your romantic partner. I've actually never seen a game that gives you the option of who you're going to date be the most overt with what they want, but they still give me the choice. So I say, like, all right, screw you, Sakura. I will choose whoever I want. Most people pick her, though. According to the trophies, 33% of players who've played this game got Sakura's ending. Which, first of all, I have to say, looking at the trophies, apparently 45% of players have beaten the game. That actually really impresses me. So many people. I imagine for the most part, I'm going to be picking the same dialogue options I did on my first playthrough, even if I don't remember exactly what all of them were, just because it's what I felt the first time playing, it's what I'll feel the second time. There's a couple certain ones that I remember an outcome that I didn't like, so I'll go with something else this time. By the way, best idol animation ever, we think? Okay, so we can go look at the stage. But hey, we can also walk around the lobby a little bit. Now, first things first. Here's a nice little thing that one of the big reasons I wanted to play New Game Plus. You see those little squares that pop up on my map, like over there on the left side? I was pointing like you guys could see. As we can see right here, one of the constants of the Sakura Wars series is the bromides. These bust shots of all the characters. This game turns that up to 11 because they can actually give you a reward for doing it in a trophy. And a lot of them you can just find at the store here, run by our lovable merchant, Komachi. Oh, okay, I guess I might as well not talk too much about her because we can't do anything here. But though she sells ones about the current flower division. Oh, okay, I can't even talk about all this right now. Fine, all right, I'll go to the stage. I was trying to get into a conversation, but the game is railroading me. Now, this is nice. I have been in a theater like this. It is just really cool to see. I'm sad to say my high school auditorium was not this fancy. My middle school one where I was actually in theater was even worse. Now, of course, a lot of the stuff during the game doesn't end up being voiced, like a lot of these smaller scenes. But it's worth noting that this is the first game in which the protagonist is mostly voiced. In every other game, like, they'd have small clips, they'd have, like, battle quotes, but for the most part, they were silent during the game. This one, Kamiyama, is mostly voiced. But just in case you're a purist and you don't like that, you can go into the options menu and turn his voice off, so that it's only the same places you'd hear it in the older games. Nah, come on. Even if I have extensive dialogue choices, I want to, Kamiyama is his own character, and I want to be able to take that in. Yeah, let's see her unholy acting talent. Now, this is a weird scene choice to keep silent, because, like, I can turn up the volume a bit. Yeah, maybe not that high. Was there somewhere on there? All right. Like, if you want me to be able to judge her acting talent, you should actually let me hear it. Now, this is sort of a thing about Kamiyama, like his actual character that I do appreciate. Man's kind of easy to break. Like, in combat, he is a force to be reckoned with. He is strong-willed. All the good stuff. But just when talking to people, he gets real emotional. And he kind of breaks pretty easily. Here's our second member of the Flower Division, Hatsuho Shinonome. I'd make a joke about her costume, but I legitimately don't know what to compare this to. It's a reference to some, like, old Japanese play, but I'm really not familiar with any of that. I realized that I forgot to highlight Sakura's voice. I don't know if it was intentional on the developers, or if it's just a strange twist of fate, but... Oh. Yes, and by the way, every time you meet one of the girls, you can just immediately go right in for them. Like, hey, how about a date? Anyway, Sakura Amamiya is voiced by Ayane Sakura. Now, you know, which of their names is Sakura is flipped around between actress and character, but the fact that it's Sakura and a name beginning with A on both of them is kind of funny. Ayane Sakura is probably the most well-known of the voices in this game, aside from the old fans who know Michie Tomizawa and Chisa Yokoyama. But Ayane Sakura has done some big roles. In fact, 2 of them very relevant to the anime of around this time. One, she's Natsumi in Non Non Biyori, who just finished its final season for me at the beginning of the week. And she is Ochako in My Hero Academia, whose 5th season also just started. Now, she actually does have quite a bit of range, because before I was doing research for all of these voices, I had no idea that Ochako and Natsumi had the same voice. They sound so wildly different. Sakura's voice is closer to Ochako's, but there's still a difference. Okay. Oh, you can do it. I can't. I was trying to put down the controller to bring out my phone, but I can't have to make these dialogue choices. It would be really stupid if Sakura's just like, yeah, this is my dream, and I just stood there silently. Real joke. Anyway, Hatsuho is voiced by Maya Uchida. Now, when I was going through her IMDb page, I was like, okay, she really has not done anything I'm familiar with. Like, she's Irina in High School DxD, but that's a show I watched in English, so I wasn't familiar with her voice. So I was like, okay, I really don't have anything to say here. But then I happened to find, because it's not listed on IMDb, I happened to find out that she was also the voice of Shiro in The Helpful Fox Senko-san. I was like, oh, okay, that's actually a show I've watched. So anyway, as I was saying before, meet the merchant of the game, Komachi. As I was saying in the Kingdom Hearts live streams, I kind of have a thing for merchant characters. Like, I love Anna from Fire Emblem. And I specifically said, like, there's another merchant character I want to talk about, but she's going to be in the next game I live stream. Here she is. Komachi. She is not a member of the Flower Division, so you're not allowed to date her. That very much upsets me. Like, there's 2 characters in the Flower Division I do like more than her, but if you gave me the option, I would take Komachi, like, right away. And you might be saying, like, that's a little bit weird. How old is she? She's older than Kamiyama. Like, ages are never mentioned in the game, but supplementary material does reveal them. Kamiyama is 20. Komachi is 23. So you can tell that you're not allowed to date her because one of the dialogue choices among meeting her wasn't just, hey, can we go on a date? If it was, I probably would pick it. And if you're looking at the bromides that are on sale, you're getting a little sneak peek at some of the characters we'll be meeting later. Ooh, tissues to a cutting-edge dreadnought battleship. I'll take the latter. Also, she's wearing ancient Heelys, which is awesome. Like, they're those old sandals, but they got wheels on them. Like, she is too radical for her own good. Okay, good. So now that we're getting the option to tour, I can finally actually start explaining a little bit about this place. So this is going to be our central hub of the game. Now, unlike the first game, I can't make comparisons to every game in the series because I've only played the first one. Unlike the first game, you will get areas to look around outside the theater, but for the most part, you're going to be here, and those areas aren't going to come into play until later. Now, I understand it's the same building, but still, I was very surprised playing the first game. I was like, yeah, no, the layout is exactly the same. So, like, immediately, like, I knew what I was doing in that game. Anyway, so let's go talk to Komachi while we're here. Yeah, photograph, fancy one pictures, see your souvenirs. Sadly, you cannot buy any of them, but I can buy the bromides. It took me a very long time to realize how that was meant to be pronounced. I always pronounced them bromides when I was playing Lunar, because they were also a collectible in that game. So you just get to buy pictures of the characters. Now, for right now, since we only know Sakura and Hatsuho, we can only buy one of them. Yes, sure. I will buy this one of Hatsuho. Now, the thing is, you're not allowed to just buy all of them. In order to keep it fair for the regular customers, Komachi only sells you one of them per section of the game. Now, thankfully, they don't actually cost any sort of in-game currency. It's just you only have limited chances to buy them. Now we can thankfully just look at what we have. As you can see from my first playthrough, I collected about half of them. But there's still plenty I am missing. Mostly in the second half. As you're seeing by the sudden art style change, a lot of the bromides that you don't buy in the shop are screenshots of the characters from the older games. Now, this is one of the things that's really nice about New Game Plus. These bromides are just laying on the floor. You have to find them, and there's only limited times where they're there. So you would have to check a guide in order to find them all. On New Game Plus, any that you didn't happen to stumble across on your first playthrough are marked on your map. Those are the small squares on those rooms over there. So, I can just run through here. And oh hey, would you look at that? There's one sitting in the middle of the hallway. I thought I had that one already. Yeah. Huh. Okay, so I guess like the bromides that you find do not reset. But which ones you actually have to collect are... Yeah, so they all respawn, but you don't have to collect them all anymore. Okay, now there's one quick... There it is. So the problem is the fact that the sparkles are not always there, so... It can honestly be pretty easy to just walk past one of them. So first things first, I'm just going to clean up and get all of these. There's only one more sitting. Oh, and I had to go into this room anyway. Although, are there any more? There. Okay, so here's another nice quality of life change that this game makes compared to the first one. In the first game, you did find events just wandering around the theater, like you went into a specific room during a specific time, there would be an event there. Nothing was marked. So you just kind of had to stumble across them unless you had an idea a character would be there. In this game, every single event you have access to is marked on your map. And they're even nice enough to mark them in 2 different colors. Blue ones are for side events. You do not have to do them to complete the story, but they're important for gaining trust points. And green ones are continuing the story. So despite the fact that I don't need to do any sort of a... I don't need to do any of this because I don't have to worry about character trust levels. I'm fine on all of that. In order to show you the game's full experience, I will be doing all of the side events. And you see in the chat, play Valkyria Chronicles. Yes, Valkyria Chronicles is kind of considered to be a spiritual successor to Sakura Wars. The thing is, they do differ in some pretty significant ways. Okay, so saying it smells nice is just kind of a weird thing. Any sort of compliment about smell, if you're talking about a person or their belongings, is weird. I think the only time you're allowed to use smell to positively describe something and not come across as creepy is food. But yes, okay, so between Sakura Wars and Valkyria Chronicles, surprisingly, this game has brought the timelines of the two series closer together, because Valkyria Chronicles takes place in an alternate depiction of World War II. This game takes place in an alternate depiction of 1940s Japan, so like the time periods are actually close now. And both of them do have strategy gameplay. They're both sort of turn-based strategy games. However, the way they play is very differently. Okay? Well, I'll figure it out, I guess. Actually, see, this one, I don't agree with the confidence of just saying, of course, but I'm obviously not also just going to say, like, I don't think this is going to work. He's hesitant. I think it works a little bit better. And you do get special dialogue for it, so it all works. So they're not... So, Sakura Wars and Valkyria Chronicles are not directly comparable. There are certain elements between them that are shared, but there are equally differences between them. I can say that because I both rented the original Valkyria Chronicles once, and I played the demo of 4, and honestly, neither one really clicked with me. Even now that I've gone back to play the original Sakura Wars and seen like the real strategy gameplay. Okay, so Kaoru here, I have the option to talk to. Her I need to be careful with, because she is one of the few characters in the game that I did not get a high trust level with on my first playthrough. So in order to get the Platinum Trophy, I do need to be careful with how I talk to her so that I can make her happy. First of all, Kaoru is the accountant of the Imperial Combat Revue. So immediately that's a couple points right there for me. And she does dress very sharply. And finally, she's your requisite glasses character for the game, much like Koran in the original cast. God, from an angle like that, I look like I'm doing a terrible cosplay of... I look like I'm doing a terrible cosplay of Joker from Persona 5. There we go, alright. And I'm already on her good side. I wonder if just saying one thing was good enough. Yes, Kaoru very much has a thing for Sumire. I never thought of it before, but she's very much, you know, aside from the morality of the characters, she's very much the Smithers to Sumire's Mr. Burns. Oh boy, paperwork. Can I just get to that now? That sounds more exciting. Oh, what the? Oh, never mind. Okay, well, it's still a side event, so... Honestly, that sounds hard. Okay, alright, well, if it gives me the choice to not go in, then I probably should save it for a little later. Now, no matter what, I don't have to worry about... I don't have to worry about skipping a story event. So how you doing, Hatsuo? Admiring the triangle. Now, the question is... And you know what? I'm doing it again. Do I lose points for this? I gotta listen. Fake spirit crystal. You want to slam it down on some cukes? Well, now that you're saying it's a spirit crystal, yes, absolutely. You just made me want to pickle even more. Ooh, there we go. See, chunker, not chonker. So yeah, Hatsuho is sort of our spirit expert. I guess that comes with the territory of Shrine Maiden, because Kamiyama's not questioning it in the slightest. Like the pants, Hatsuho. Alright, see ya. Okay, so are there any other events to do? Nope, okay. Only one other side event. I always make it a point to do all the side events before the story event. I'm not sure if in all cases, like, the story event immediately cancels all of them out, but just in case, I want to do whatever I can. Now this thing, the underground sector, I first heard that, I was a little bit more excited about what it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like this whole underground secret city. I think, observatory, what? Is there an observatory? Yeah, okay. Excuse me, I've done all the side events. I guess you actually are supposed to kind of look around. Oopsie. And now I lost points with her. Alright, I'm clearly an idiot. Okay, so actually waiting to do this is a little bit more important. Yeah, so there's not anything you actually have to do anywhere else in the theater. I guess on my first playthrough, I just naturally was curious and looked around. I didn't know that actually changed anything, huh? I'm going to be learning things on this playthrough, so that's cool. Okay, so anyway, earlier Sakura told us to check out the archives. Let's get around to doing that. There's a bromide in here. That's really what I'm here to get. Now that's a weird thing this game does, where if a character isn't technically on screen, they always show their dialogue box. If they're like just entering the conversation and they haven't been acknowledged as part of it yet, their name tag is just question marks. Even if it's someone like Sakura who Kamiyama knows and would recognize her voice, and it's not a surprise when she shows up. Right. My sister's honestly the exact same way, just like getting completely buried in a book. See, if I in real life was given this opportunity, my way of trying to get their attention would just be snapping my fingers in their ears. Yelling directly into her ear is basically the same thing. But as you saw from one of the options you could choose, this is a Japanese game. You very much often have the chance to act like a real pervert. If you want to play it like that, that is completely up to you. So anyway, meet Clarice, everybody. I'm still not exactly sure how you're supposed to pronounce her name. Because I see that and I'm like, oh, Clarice, all right. Like the singer, the Japanese singer. Admittedly, in that costume, it would be a little bit weird. But the thing is, her name is short for Clarissa, so would it be Clarice if it was like a shortened version of it? But that's not a way you say it. The closest you would get would be Clarice, like the character from Silence of the Lambs. I don't know. Anyway, she is dressed as American McGee's Alice. Yeah, nothing like the Flower Division of old. Yeah, this Flower Division is kind of in shambles. They cannot live up to the old legacy. Honestly, you could fool me because this place still looks amazing. Hey, alright, let's do it then. Optimist or clueless? Let's lean more towards the latter. I'm new here. I just found out like an hour ago that who you guys even are. So anyway, Clarice's voice was the one girl in this game who I did not need to look up her voice. As soon as I heard it, I was like, there, yep, I recognize it. She is voiced by, I say that and immediately I have to check. I don't remember exact. Saori Hayami. That's. Ready? Yeah, so. That's very much, again, me self-inserting. I meant, like, who's the most attractive? Of the three we met so far, it's absolutely Hatsuho. She is my second favorite of the Flower Division. In fact, early on, upon seeing her, I'm like, okay, big, sort of strong girl, acts like a bro. She's going to be my favorite. It's just that there's one we meet later on that does beat her out. I'll keep it secret, though, because we're not going to meet her for a while. Now, this is something that the original game did as well, where I guess they just don't want to overload you with everybody early on. There's always at least one member of the Flower Division that you do not meet in the first chapter. Like, they're still part of the team, and they tell you they exist, but they don't actually enter the picture until later. In the first game, it was Koran. In this game, it's Azumi. Now, where is that bromide? It might be on, like, one of the shelves. They're basically all going to be on the floor, so you can concentrate your gaze there. But yeah, you can see what I mean about the fact that they can be pretty well hidden. Like, this is a small room. There it is. Okay, so maybe they're not all on the floor. Ooh, excellent. All right. This is something that I was a little bit upset about on my first playthrough. I'm picking up all these bromides of the old cast. There was not one of Gemini. I did not find one. There she is. I only played a tiny bit of 5, but Gemini was great. I think it's actually supposed to be pronounced Gemini. But I kind of figured, like, that's how it's supposed to be in Japanese. And I'm like, okay, but in English, it would be pronounced Gemini. Anything else to look at? Nope. All right. It's the sort of thing that would be very easy to confirm because 5 has an English dub. Like I said, it's been a while since I played it. I only rented it once years ago because I was sort of interested in Sakura Wars thanks to the character's appearance in Project Cross Zone. Everyone? Well, there's, yeah, only this mysterious Azumi. We haven't met her, but if you were paying careful attention, there was a picture of her at the shop. So you know what she looks like early on. Also, she was in the intro. That really gives it away. Oh man. Doing paperwork, ticket collecting. Man, this game is just a mile a minute. Oh, come on. No, that's disappointing. Tear ticket stubs. You can't just give me a hole punch. That's more fun. By the way, this is another story beat that is taken verbatim from the first game, where Ichiro Ogami is in the military. He's transferred to the Flower Division. Shows up here, doesn't know who anyone is, gets introduced to the cast, and is told that he'll be working as a ticket collector. That was very surprising. I understand, like, they want to keep things, coming back after so long, they want to keep things simple to the games that people loved, keep it familiar. But playing the first game, I was really surprised how many story elements carried over from that game. Like, there is a lot. Thank you all. One person came in. 43 will be on your list. Let's see how show's doing. Oh, excuse me. You have a job to do. And you're not given a choice. Oh man, he even changed clothes before he came in here. Yes, this is very much a Sakura Wars tradition. Key parts of the story are played out in these animated sequences instead of being done in-game. Now, in the older games, this was done because it was a visual novel. They couldn't portray high, complicated sequences in-game. In this game, they could. They just choose not to. Both for tradition. Now, again, this was something else from the original game. A disastrous trip on stage that completely destroys the set. I will, however, give credit to the original game. This one has it beat in that it's both Sakura and Hatsuho who mess up. However, in the original game, Sakura trips. She destroys it. Like, the entire set is completely ruined. It's pretty hilarious. Sorry, performance. I saw part of it instead of doing my job. What of it? Yeah, it was interesting. Now, honestly, saying it was painful is actually the right thing, because you're being honest with them. At the very least, I think Claris appreciates it. Trying not to laugh. You can basically just put in the song Opening Night from the producers, and that's basically the correct reaction here. You can't believe it. We can't conceive it. How'd he achieve it? It's the worst show in town. Oh, we wanted to stand up and hiss. We've seen shit, but never like this. The stage is falling apart. Yeah, I wonder whose fault that could be. I understand things might not be in the best condition, but a trip like that taking down the entire lighting fixture is still pretty impressive. I do have a grand plan. Step 1, get good. I think professional help honestly might be understating it. I think we need to look into spiritual help. Yeah. Acting coach, some crew to handle it. Oh, she actually liked that. It's going to take her a second to realize we don't have any money. Good question. I've got $10 in my pocket. Will that cover it? By the way, I'm not going to lie. You could see it briefly there. One of the better aspects of Hatsuho, Fang. She's got one Fang. Very nice. So yeah, it's worth noting that the dialogue choices never do anything to change the way the story unfolds. It's basically just guiding the next couple sentences of the conversation before it goes back on track. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to want to talk to me. Yeah. Better than sitting around. I haven't done anything on timing this. I think they give you more choice to make, more time to make choices in this game compared to the original. I can't say that for certain, though. The original could feel kind of rushed sometimes. But honestly, I'm a fast reader. I got through it. Aside from a couple times where they purposefully make the timer really fast to put pressure on you. Admittedly, I don't remember them doing that in this game, though. I'm sure it'll come back to me if I see it. Alright. That's great. First things first, though. We're in a new section of the game, which means it's time for me to check my stuff again. As you can see, we have a couple areas. We got reaction. Oh, okay, fine. I have to do this. It's not going to be that long before they really do just stop railroading you like this. Just talk to all the NPCs. Now, despite the fact they only give you general areas, there's really not that many people to talk to. Probably because barely anyone is in. There were a couple, yeah, there were 2 in an area I'm allowed to explore on this floor, so that's good. In fact, there's one right up here. There we go. It's a nice painting. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, I'm still allowed to go into the dining area. Alright then. So let's just talk to a couple people. It was good. Hey, alright. Listen. Sometimes so bad it's good really is the way to go. Oh. Yeah. But makes for a good resting place. Hey, how many millions of dollars did you make in sales from our amazing performance, Komachi? How'd you do? Do something. Figure something out. It's non-committal. I'll get something done. So I am allowed to buy something from her. I'm just curious. Yeah, if they're going to be selling ones that I already have, I need to pay attention. Although I think at this... No, maybe she's not like one of Claris now. I think I have, like, all of these. Despite the fact that they say new. Like, I think I have them. Because no, in the main game, if you buy one and it's still in the shop, it'll have owned and you're not allowed to buy it. That's not here. I guess I'll just buy what there is. They give you enough chances that if you're coming back to the shop as often as you can buy everything Komachi sells. I think I talked to you already. First things first. Okay, yeah, all of a sudden now I'm getting all the ones from the 5th game. Characters I actually have a chance of recognizing. That's alright, well, I'm glad you're enjoying something about this place. Yeah, they're all eating, they don't care about the show. How about you, modern Japanese schoolgirl? Legitimately, she looks really out of place. Creeper, what about my appearance could possibly give you that idea? So, this is Itsuki. And if you're curious why her design looks so out of place, the thing about this game is that different sects of characters... I'm the ticket collector. The flower division is supposed to be covert. I can't just say I'm a captain. I'm the ticket collector. Anyway, all the different like sects of characters are designed by different people. The main cast was all done by Tite Kubo, most famous for his work on Bleach. He did some promotional and concept art for the game. Look it up if you get the chance. There's one good piece that shows off all the main cast. I really like the way it looks. I've never read or watched Bleach, so I can't say anything about that. Someone posted the picture just on the general manga subreddit because he had worked on it. Itsuki also has a fang. Anyway, someone posted it and just like getting reactions from it. I love there was a comment that just said like, wait a minute, this can't be Tite Kubo's work. None of these girls have massive chests. So anyway, main cast was done by Tite Kubo. Itsuki was designed by Noise Ito. According to the Sakura Wars wiki page, and I just mean like general Wikipedia, he is most famous, or she, I think, I don't know what gender they are, most famous for their work as the illustrator for the Haruhi Suzumiya light novels. What's up? Saki. Alright then. Oh, yeah, I'm done, so let me go back upstairs. Gotta go get that bromide. There it is. There you go, there you go. That's what Sumire looked like in the original game. Okay, looks like we're good. Forgive me for checking the map frequently. I want to be sure I get every single bromide. Bromide. It's pronounced one way. I don't know. I know I was asked to go see Sumire, but you have a blue exclamation mark. Can I win back your trust after not looking at the theater? See, I feel it. Actually, that would have been kind of clever. Like, I understand, like, you want to see all of the different events on different playthroughs. But it would have been kind of clever if on a New Game Plus playthrough they disabled the ability to get that you didn't look around the theater thing. It's like, I played this game once before. I clearly know this theater. Now, becoming captain, I'll figure something out. Regret a thing. That's not my normal choice, but... That's all the goes now. Damn it. Okay. Legitimately, I have a walkthrough open. I might have to check it for these Kaoru conversations. This is why I never built up my trust with her. She is a surprisingly hard woman to please. Sometimes this just happens. Like, you get the characters, every conversation you are getting points with them because you just gel with them. And sometimes you are striking out at every opportunity. It happens. Thankfully, aside from her appearing on the intermission screen, which does affect which you do get a platinum trophy, you do get a trophy for, whether or not any of the side characters trust you does not matter in the slightest in terms of gameplay. It means we have lots of room for improvement. How long have they been doing this? A couple weeks? Because if they've been doing this for a couple years, I'm not sure they're ever getting better. Now, if the World Games are ending point, you're going to have to tell me exactly how far away they are. Oh, okay, in a few days? God damn. I thought it was at least a month or two. Alright, we have a couple days to turn this thing around. I think we can do it. So yes, we are the original combat review. We have a long legacy behind us, except everyone here is kind of trash. And I assume it's been like this ever since the original girls disappeared 10 years ago. So wait a minute. If we're saying that the World Games are in a couple days, which really does not fit with the time frame of when they're actually going to start in-game, I don't feel like. But I guess I'll kind of keep that in mind. Does that mean Sumire, knowing they had a couple days to turn this thing around, hired a new captain saying like, yeah, you can get this done? You know what, I'm starting to see it. I think I might just be the scapegoat. I'll be the failure if this doesn't work. Alright, let me come up with a checklist on how to beat the World Games. Alright, step 1, win. Step 1, get good. Step 2, win. Alright. I'm figuring this all out, guys. I think I'm going to be a great captain. I've got all the answers. So one of the nicer things about this game compared to the original is it comes in exploring the theater. Now, first of all, the fact that it's all in 3D and you do get to walk around is nice, but that's just kind of a natural thing to expect at the passage of time. The original game had a sort of a time management thing where you could only do a certain number of events before the story would continue, and anything you missed would just be lost. Which, as I mentioned earlier, goes great with the fact that nothing on the map was marked. So you really just had to stumble into things. I can guarantee you that I missed a bunch of stuff on my playthrough, but I still beat the game without that much trouble, so I mean, that's nice. This game gets rid of the time management, which I guess could be considered sort of a bad thing to like real purists. It's like, oh, it removes the consequence. But it means that you can easily see everything the game has. I mean, not everything, there's multiple endings and all. And if you feel like, okay, I don't want to do everything, you can always just proceed to the next story event manually. Now, of course, because you're doing everything and it's all done in these fully animated scenes instead of just a visual novel, it takes quite a bit longer. I was legitimately wondering, I wonder if I can get like 2 or 3 chapters done per session. The fact that we are an hour and 15 minutes in and I haven't even gotten to the first intermission. I understand the first chapter has a lot of setup, but we might be on a 1 chapter per session pace, which means this game is going to take us over 2 months to get done. Now, I understand that the kind of just marking that you can go up these stairs, but the stairs are open. If I walk up to them, I get this marker. I get the icon to say, the arrows are really not necessary. Yes, this is always a moment the characters take a minute to realize whenever they walk into somebody's room for the first time. A lot of books. Honestly, this room honestly feels a little bit more like the library than the library does. One can never have too many of them. I think that's factually false because you can only fit a couple more books in those shelves, and then you're going to have to get more shelves. Like, I see a couple spaces where there's some blank room, but you are quickly running out of shelf space here, Clarice. Looking over at my game shelf, I can relate. Yeah. Let's talk. I'm sorry to disturb you, Clarice. If my phone had the ability to send you texts, I'd do that instead. The fact that everyone else in this game can send me texts is a little bit suspect. I do have to be honest. I am adapting to Clarice in this costume surprisingly quickly. I'm not a fan of the color. I think the pink is a bit too garish, which is weird because I could have sworn that it was blue. I have a picture there's a picture in the game case to like advertise the DLC, but it's over there. It's on my shelf. I'd have to get up to get it. We have to find a way to win it. All right, Clarice, new plan. Step 1, let's poison the competition. Winning may be impossible, but if we can win at least one match, that'll get us a tiny bit of momentum. Hang on. I'm just trying to see how much free... Okay. You do not have that much freedom with the camera angles, I am sorry to say. Listen, at some point, you just got to take the chance, man. But for a game that does kind of lean into the fan service thing a little bit, this game is... I was actually kind of surprised how tasteful this game is. Like, they give you chances to be a little bit naughty, but for the most part, it's honestly pretty good. Terrible. At least one guy liked it. For the wrong reasons, but he liked it. Yeah, don't worry, your fans feel bad for having to watch it. It's really just a mutual feeling all around. Now, I will say, immediately after saying that this game can be pretty tasteful, this costume on Hatsuho does do more of a job at hiding her chest, and honestly, I'm not sure I like that. Hatsuho's a good-looking woman, alright? She keeps the Hakama pants in both costumes, though, and that's very nice. It's just a lower cut top and more open cleavage in her default. But of course, if you really wanted to see everything the characters have... Alright. Oh yes, thanks to the government, I'm now allowed to use the elevator. Awesome. I think the elevator is next to the music room. Or it's, Oh, no, yeah, that's right. Despite the fact that it's an elevator, you can't take it from the second floor. So anyway, if you really wanted to see how all the characters look, considering regarding alternate costumes, then you're going to be spending the money to buy the swimsuit DLC. Which, again, is actually surprisingly tasteful. Like, there's one character we haven't met yet who really is showing off a lot in their swimsuit, which, you know, fits the character. And, I mean, Sakura has a bit, but it's not too bad. I love Kamiyama's swimsuit costume. Like, he's just got, like, he's got a standard swim trunks, and he's got an unzipped hoodie. It looks surprisingly good. Honestly, Kamiyama kind of gets the best of the costumes, which surprises me, because he's just the male lead. But, like, every single one of his costumes is a ringer. This one's solid. His swimsuit, his casual wear. Honestly, his worst costume is probably the Legacy Ogami costume. So here's a little bit of development trivia. Originally, when they were designing the first Sakura Wars game and they were trying to decide which country to set it in, they were originally considering Shanghai. Until they decided on Japan. So it's kind of nice to see them finally bring back Shanghai and to have them currently stationed in Japan. It's just a fun little development gag. We're literally out of funds. Oh, so I can't even ask for a candy bar. It's a shame. I mean, Sumire is literally a part of Kanzaki Heavy. She's descended from the founders of Kanzaki Heavy Industries. You think they'd be able to get a little bit? Guess I have to put up the money myself. What do you need? 20 bucks? I can handle that. Alright, 1 yen. Listen, we didn't hear the number. She could have said 1 yen. Which I think makes Kamiyama's reaction even funnier. Like, 1 yen? I don't make that kind of money. I don't think you guys pay me, honestly. You guys don't pay me, and the little you do, I'm spending on bromides. Komachi is bleeding me dry, Kaoru. You have to help me. She's shaking me down. Yeah, we can't afford to give you one. We expect you to go out on the battlefield with just your swords. You'll get one eventually once we have the money. Once, alright? That's a, I think the proper way to say it would be if we get the money. Until then, I just have to go out there with my swords. Which he barely uses, by the way. That one scene early on where he pulled them out to try and fight that demon. And then there's one scene later in the game. Aside from that, he really never uses the swords, even if he carries them around. Which is a shame, because the anime based on this game that released in America before the game did, as is true Sakura Wars tradition, except we actually still got the game. And it's a sequel to the game, which just makes it worse. But he uses his swords a bit more often. Or at least there's one good scene where he uses them. And he's surprisingly good with them. Like, Kamiyama is pretty damn good at combat. Like, personal combat. I'd love to see him take on the demons. Just by himself. I mean, apparently it's, according to the backstory of the first game, it's possible. Well, better strip down. So if I just hang out... If I just hang out, someone will walk in and see me here and they'll think something's up. So now this is weird. I understand, like, this is a female, primarily female, in fact, almost completely female combat review. This is a bath that is only used by women. But it's also the only bath. So if I'm living here and working here, I mean, I'm going to have to bathe in here at some point, guys. Listen, I don't even know who you are. I don't think you have the right to judge me for walking around in places I shouldn't be. Are you even supposed... I needed government clearance to get down here. Are you supposed to be down here? I had to click triangle to bring up the message before it went away. But just the subject line cut off was amazing. Wow. I'm looking over at my view graph. I mean, it's not really that much better than other streams, but there are small spikes where I've had 3 people watching at once, and that's about the best I've done yet. That's pretty impressive. Something I need to tell you all. We're going to be living on the street starting tomorrow. I imagine probably because we suck. Okay, so these guys probably do have government clearance. I still don't know if you're supposed to be in our basement. So I'm not sure you have too much room to speak, Yui. I'm not a pervert. I'm just looking for Turbo Man doll. Yui's another one of those characters I kind of have to be careful with, because I also did not raise her trust level very well in my first playthrough. So anyway, this is the Shanghai Combat Review, Xiaolong and Yui. First of all, talking about names already. Xiaolong Yang, he switched the names around. There you go, it's the Revue character. Second, in terms of character design, the Shanghai Combat Review was again done by another designer. In this case, Yukiko Horiguchi, of K-On! Fame, which I'm assuming is why they have a character named Yui. Yes, we win. Disband the Shanghai demons. Just throw them right under the bus. If we disband them and we take all their stuff, we'll be better by default. They have more money. We have seniority. We're the best combat. We're the oldest combat review. We're the best. Claris, you're right. Xiaolong, throw the match. You can bark all you want, but you don't have the bite to back it. And then Kamiyama just, like, pounds us in and bites his neck. Fight. In fact, we'll fight you right now. And then he just jumps forward and punches Xiaolong in the face. And then he tries to punch me in the face. Okay, so here's a feature that was first introduced in Sakura Wars 3 and has continued on with every future game. Analog lips. Certain conversations will include scenes where you have to use the analog stick to decide how strongly you say something. This is a game about piloting robots, so obviously it's a hot-blooded game. Anytime you get an analog lips, I prefer you just scream. Just go as loud as... Just do what I do when I have problems. Scream! Escort you down to the lobby. I think they know their way around. Yui found her way into the basement. She's still glaring at me like I'm the one at fault. Alright guys, we have a goal now, and isn't that just the best thing to have? Now we come up with a 5-step plan. Step 1, win. I'm wondering if this is going to be a gag I keep up throughout the entire game, just Kamiyama's checklists. His one-step... Kamiyama's famous one-step checklists. Yeah, we can't do it. That'd be great, like, just all the most bravado. And then as soon as everyone else is gone, I'm like, yeah, we can't do this. Alright guys, I've got a crazy idea. Let's all stuff into one robot so we can pool our powers into one super robot. Now this is sort of the thing. Yeah, let's do our, like, I was agreeing with you a second ago, Sakura. That's sort of the fault with a game like this where the dialogue choices don't actually have any real impact. It's like I was siding with you, but then I guess just because he chose the wrong words outside of my control, she still gets mad at me. And sometimes that can happen even within the dialogue choices. Like, it's basically that ProZD video where it's like the dialogue choices don't end up resulting in what they sound like they will. And honestly, sometimes they really are just illogical. There's one very blatant example later in the game I will make sure to point out, because I chose the choice that got me bad points with everybody, but it still makes perfect sense to me, so I'll be continuing that. Hey, Claris, your dress is clipping through the chair. Sakura is also a sword wielder. She does have an actual sword that she also doesn't use. We have giant robots. We don't need to concern ourselves with normal weapons. In this costume, she even has a little knife. See, I was going to make a joke about the useless thing, but the joke was going to require several steps of explanation, so I really don't think it's worth it. Look at me. Look at me. My eyes are two different colors. One of them sees nothing but the past, and the other sees nothing but the present. But you probably shouldn't say eyes plural. This is actually my very fancy eye patch. Like most people just wear an eye patch, I put a whole mask on over half my face. That's something you can sort of tell with these cutscenes where they do these fast zooms. This game does make heavy use of motion blur in those specific moments, and honestly, I don't like the way it looks. No option to turn it off either. Maybe there will be if this game ever gets a PC port, but for right now, it doesn't. It is currently PS4 exclusive. Now, do I think the game will ever get ported? I guess, given Sega's track record, I'm almost sure it's got to come to PC at some point. And there's not that much reason not to. They port over all the Yakuza games. I think they can bring Sakura Wars over. It's running on the Hedgehog engine too, which was used in Sonic Forces, so the engine itself is compatible with PC. I've also seen plenty of people claiming for a Switch port. It definitely could happen, but that one I'd be a bit more... I'm a bit more reluctant on. Because even this game can have some issues on the base PS4. Nothing crazy, but I've definitely seen some bad frame rates in certain places. I'm sure it would work. It would just be a little bit downgraded. And honestly, I'm not sure how much downgrading I'd want him to do, because this game looks pretty dang nice. I just happen to like the visual style, and the characters are sometimes animated pretty well. Like generally in the facial expressions, they're pretty expressive and they're done very reasonably well. The problem is more usually their body movements. It's definitely motion captured. So when they're trying to be big and funny, it just comes across as overdone. Kamiyama is sort of the worst example of it. Whatever. This game feels like it has a lot more dialogue choices than the first one did. Like, I mean, they pop up plenty, but I think this one does it more often. I took the picture myself while riding on the back of a seagull. Amazing. It sank. The ship that I was captain of sank. It was the most devastating game of battleship I've ever played. As you can see, I was dressed much differently back in those days. I now wear the mask to hide my shame for failing this ship. Yeah. So aside from the broken ship, no harm done, right? Doesn't even sound like I was ostracized or demoted for it. Alright, let's show them what this terrible troupe can do. Okay, Sakura had to change her clothes very quickly. One fun little detail about Sakura's character design that really goes to illustrate my point on how much the voice actors mean to this series. The reason that Sakura wears a blue kimono that just got removed there, so that was my point. I don't even know how the hell it got removed, but whatever. The reason she wears a light blue kimono is because it's Ayane Sakura's favorite color. And it's like, it's interesting that she got that sort of say in her character's design. Yeah, we're all in normal costumes. And everyone's just looking at Kamiyama like, holy shit, you do have another eye. You do have the rest of a face. They were all thinking I was scarred like Zuko. Or, I've got another idea on how to earn some respect. Alright, step 1, we kill the demons ourselves. I like that blank portrait over there. Like, yeah, we're expecting that there might be someone else here, but we don't actually have anyone. So we just leave a blank frame up. Give them the orders. Alright. I always just pick this really basic one, but it usually gets you good results. Like, generally just saying Flower Division move out, bleh, gets you points with everybody. Are you impressed, Kaoru? Do you have a higher opinion of me now? I mean, the girls are the ones that are going out fighting, so really, I don't have... That's probably just what we're talking about, like, while they're all gone. Like, do you like me more, Kaoru? Please. I'm gonna feel really bad if you don't like me. So yes, despite the fact that we've spent an hour and 40 minutes on it, Sakura Wars is not strictly a visual novel dating sim kind of game. There is actual combat in these games. And you can tell because they immediately start playing the theme song. This game uses it kind of a bit often. Okay. How's everyone doing? Yeah, look at that. Even characters we haven't met yet, trust us. Ain't that great? Now, the 2 members of the combat review we haven't been introduced to yet aren't on my map. And as you can see, Yui is not up there next to Zhalong. And Kaoru isn't anywhere here either. Plus, there's one other character I don't have. So I'm I'm going to try and be careful on this playthrough. I don't think it's possible to lose like a rank with anyone. Like all these side characters, I don't think it's possible to just be enough of a jerk that they disappear from this screen. And the Flower Division members, the way it works, the way it's ranked is they start off at the top of the stage there, and the more they like you, the further they come down. If they go down a set of stairs, then that's an extra rank. I don't think it's possible for them to go back up. Like, they might move about on the tier, but I don't think they're ever going to go back up the stairs. I don't know that for certain, though. Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm confident. So here's where we get into the biggest difference of this game compared to the older ones, besides just age. The combat. The old games were isometric turn-based strategy games. Like, they were kind of like a Fire Emblem sort of thing. Yeah, that's the really basic comparison. There's a lot of differences between the way they do it, but that's the general genre they were going for. This one, on the other hand, is a standard third-person hack-and-slash action game. It's way simpler, a lot dumber, and does not have anywhere near the amount of strategy. However, I like it more, because this is just a genre I enjoy. Now, to be fair, the original game is not... The old game is not too bad in terms of its gameplay. Like, I am terrible at turn-based strategy games. I could not beat Battles of Prince of Persia. I gave up on Codename Steam. And I did not have a very good time playing Fire Emblem Awakening. The only games in the genre I ever really liked were the Project Cross Zone games. So I was very nervous going into the original Sakura Wars, and I was thinking, like, okay, like, this is not a game I'm gonna do, just because I don't like this genre, but I still just kind of gave in and played it. And like I said, I managed to beat it without that much trouble. It's not that hard of a game, and it helps that it's very simple. Like, you don't have to worry about like how many units you're deploying, what all the strengths are, because everybody is on the field at the same time. You don't have to worry about levels or equipment, because none of that. The only thing that determines character strength is their mood. There's no permadeath. Honestly, it's a pretty simple game, and I think because it's not a pure turn-based strategy game, Sega didn't want to make it too hard to like scare away potential players. And that is very much a design element that stays true to this, where the gameplay is not the strongest element of this game, it's the characters and the story. Now, they also continue that trend on in this game, because this game is not that hard. In fact, it's kind of amazing how easy this game is. Now, in this game, in the original game, I did not consider the easiness a detriment, because I don't like that genre, so having it not be hard meant I could beat it. This game being easy is actually kind of a problem, because it just makes the combat even more shallow. Now, at the very least, they make it a little better than they did at this game's launch, because the combat in this when this game first launched in Japan, had some serious issues. Like, mostly the fact that they had, to the point that they had to add new features in a patch a couple months later that were part of the game's initial English release. That patch included the lock-on. This game did not have a lock-on feature upon release. Now, of course, I'm sure you could beat this game without it, but it's just one of those features that's so ubiquitous You have to have it. So I'm happy that they did eventually add it. And it kind of makes me surprised they didn't think of it earlier. Also, they added the ability to change your control scheme, which is nice. Because, like, the default control scheme, it's not terrible. You know, they tell me you have to use circle to attack, and I've played Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I can get used to that. You use, like, L3, you click L3 in to lock on, and then click it again to lock off. You could play it, but it wouldn't have been ideal. Thankfully, with these control scheme changes, I could change it to one that sets attack to square and lock on to holding L2, which is just much more comfortable. This feels much more natural to me. And I'm hoping I should just be able to jump back into it without any trouble. Because I mentioned when I started playing Kingdom Hearts 3, I had just finished playing this game for the first time. And I was like, oh dear God. Like, it's hard for me to go back to circle to jump, X to attack, R1 to lock on. And then, of course, I spent all that time playing Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm thinking I should be able to go back to this without any trouble, you know. This is a more standard control scheme that feels more natural in the first place. Okay. It's either that or this is like Frieza's death ball, and we're just already all dead. Look at that, they already got a portrait of me. They ain't got money, but they got a talented artist on staff, I'll assume. I'm just going to assume it was Komachi who did it. No. See, it'd be dangerous to fight alone if this game had difficulty. But no, I could 100% beat this game without having anybody by my side. Except for one thing. But I'm not worried. So yeah, this is how the combat always goes. You're going through these hallways, the door gets sealed off, and you have to kill all the enemies to get it to open. For right now, that's all it is, and that is honestly what it's mostly going to be for a good chunk of the game. Okay, now what you're seeing there is the it's basically Witch Time from Bayonetta, where you dodge an attack at the last second, time slows down, and you can wail on them easily. Now, possibly because this game is just kind of easy, or maybe it's because it's not a core gameplay mechanic of this game. But it's not too hard to pull it off. You do get a decent amount of timing, and the game is nice enough to not care, like, what direction you're dodging. Like, so long as the enemy has started to attack, and you dodge, you'll trigger it. To the point where you can dodge into them, and it'll work. And they make it very nice where, while you're in that slowed down dodge state, you're completely invincible. So there are certain enemies who will start a big flurry of attacks. You dodge the first strike, you go into the slowed down state, but they're continuing to, like, swing their swords around wildly. And you can just stand in front of them and attack, because you're invincible. Also, you're kind of leaving us behind when we can't defend ourselves, so that's kind of a shame. Alright. So now, I will admit that just starting this game off, I was a little bit worried about this gameplay. Because I was like, Sakura she moves kind of slow. Her attacks have a bit of weight behind them. And it just makes it kind of awkward to play. Thankfully, she is not the only playable character. You will have your chance to play any member of the team. This is just here to get us introduced with who is essentially the game's main character. Now, with that said, you might be thinking, like, okay, I'll have my chance to experiment and find out which member of the Combat Revue I like playing as best. And, technically that's not wrong. Except for the fact that you don't really get the choice. The characters that are on a mission are predetermined for you under most cases. Which you could also be thinking, like, oh, that's going to be an issue if a mission doesn't have the character I like. Again, don't worry about it. Not just because the game is easy. I can get more into detail on that later. I don't know if that's supposed to be like a spirit tank or something on the front of the Kobu, but it just looks like it's got a dick. Ow. And the other nice thing about that slowed down defense state, dodge state, is enemies that have shields up, like this guy, if you're in that dodge state, you don't have to worry about hitting them like behind the back. You will automatically bypass their shields. I got this. Okay, see, like, when it was a silhouette, that steam shooting out really did look like it was a liquid. Yep, like I said, this is very much a hot-blooded giant robot game. Except they're not even giant robots. They're a little bit bigger than me, but it's fine. Now, there was a weird little example with the animation. Most of the animation in this game, unlike the older games where it was just all pure 2D, most of it is 3D animated. It's just shaded in a way that's kind of supposed to make it look like 2D. But I swear certain elements are 2D. Like that shot at the end there of Xiaoyang and Yui. Like, I swear they were 2D. There's a couple characters that whenever they showed up, either in this game or in the anime, like, they're 2D. It's weird. Now this moment here. This is sort of a weird character moment that is especially weird in hindsight. You might have to move to Shanghai, which is really just an expense. You're going to have to get a passport. Okay, listen, Sakura, that's nice that you have a dream, but all you have to do is remove the word Imperial from that dream, and moving over to Shanghai doesn't impact it at all. You can still be part of a Combat Revue protecting Tokyo from the demons. You very well could just be putting yourself on a sinking ship here. But she'd be leaving her friends behind, and friends are power in these games. All the way, they super lean into that. Okay. Now this here. Like, I understand Xiaoyang kind of talking trash to us. But him specifically, like, trying to, like, beat the truth into Sakura is really weird. it's incredibly antagonistic and mean. Which, you know, if you're like, okay, that's the way this character is and he's like that for the rest of the game, fine. Except he is not. I mean, he's got a bit of cocky, he's got some attitude to him. But anytime we see him past this point, Xiaolong is honestly a pretty nice dude. This just feels wildly out of character, and it's really a problem because we've barely had a chance to get introduced to him. This is sort of, aside from that one scene where he was talking to us before, where he didn't say that much, this is sort of his establishing character moment, and it doesn't represent his character at all. The closest thing to an explanation you could get is he's only nice to us later because we've earned his respect, but he gets too nice to us too early. The problem, like, after this point, he never does anything that antagonistic again. So yeah, Kamiyama being a little bit of a wimp is actually, once again, a part of his character. He's working on it, though. But again, it's sort of a weird thing for him to be beating himself up, though. Like, yeah, maybe we could have done more. Maybe we didn't have to abandon ship then and there. We could have stood and fought the demons. Except for the fact that he was captain of a bunch of people on that ship. He had a lot of lives he had to think about. And the fact that his decisions saved everybody, like, nobody died. He did pretty well on the Morishi 10. So I guess either this was just impeccable timing or I had to prove myself before I was allowed to get my Spherical Striker. I guess this thing just busted through the shell of darkness. And here's where this game gets the chance to strike out a little bit different. Everyone else is currently using Kobu, which is the original mech, the original Spherical Striker from the old games. Mugen, however, the updated version, is new to this game, so it's them moving up and getting stronger, and becoming their own people, basically. Honestly, my problem was the fact that the Mugen honestly looked pretty close in design to the Kobu. Like, Xiaolong's looks notably different. But Mugen and Kobu, like, the eyes are different. Like, the Kobu had 2 eyes, the Mugen only has 1. But they're honestly pretty close. And it's honestly still weird that they're using Kobu here, because even in the first game, at the start of the second arc, they upgraded them into the Jinbo. I've got a robot, so now there's nothing I can't do. Now, here's what I was saying about, like, not having to worry about which character you pick. Because while one character is chosen based on the story for who's going to be your partner, so you don't have access to everybody, every single mission is always going to have Kamiyama as a playable character. naturally you're going to be playing as him, both because the mission starts you off as him, so you don't really feel like switching, and because if you're always going to have him, you might as well get good with him. Fair enough. Here's the other part. Like, by far, Kamiyama is the best. Like, he is quick, he is strong, he has moves that can cover basically any situation. Like, his only fault, the only problem he has with this combat is he has no ranged options. But there are very few instances where that's really a problem. Like, other than that, he is amazing. And now we're introduced to the other key mechanic of the combat system, over there on the left, the morale gauge. You perform certain actions, and the morale rises. Like you're seeing, like, taking down enemies, synced takedown, mass takedown, no damage. You get points for doing that, and in doing so, you level up your morale. With each grade of morale that goes up, your character's attack and defense increases. However, doing certain things, like taking too much damage, acting on your own, will cause you to lose morale, and you very much can go down a grade during battle. Now, the important about the trust mechanic is it determines each character's starting morale. So, for example, like, if you were paying attention when we started this fight, we had level 4 morale. If we had actually just started the game, we would be at level 1, and we'd have to build our way up into higher damage. Building up characters' trust in the visual novel sections between the combat allows you to start off at a higher morale, which makes it much easier to reach rank 10. Which is the highest rank you can get. And thankfully, what level morale you start at doesn't reset between missions, unlike in the first game where everyone's mood would reset between chapters. So you'd have to build back up. However, the thing about this morale system is just how strange it can be. Like, getting morale is usually... most of the time, it makes sense. Like, I am killing enemies quickly, I am not taking damage, like, and I'm getting points for performing well. That makes perfect sense to me, and I can manipulate it exactly to my liking by playing carefully and well. And likewise, if I get reckless and I'm, like, getting my ass handed to me, then I'm going to lose points. Honestly, it's actually pretty generous about that, so that's fine. The thing is, there's a specific penalty you can get called Lone Wolf, which causes you to lose 50 morale points, which is each stage is 100, so that is a significant part you lose. And I'm not sure what causes it. Like, I think it's like I'm killing too many enemies without, like, working with everyone else. So, like, I'm just striking out on my own. I think that's the issue. The problem is it activates way too easily. Like, a lot of missions you're going to see it go off, at least if you play like me. And it's only weird to me, because I feel like it's a good idea for us to, against a small fry like this, like, we're splitting up our... we're splitting up our forces so we can take care of the enemy faster. And a lot of the times, the AI of your partner doesn't prioritize very well. So I see a big guy, I'm like, okay, I want to get rid of him quickly before he becomes a big problem. The AI is just going to keep dealing with the smallest enemy that they were working on before. And that means I'm risking getting that lone wolf status just because I can prioritize better. And honestly, this game's priority is pretty poor all around in the lock-on system, which, you know, they have the excuse of it was added later. But The lock-on has a bad tendency to not just like it's locking on to the closest enemy, but it has a bad tendency to lock on to like the smallest, lowest threat enemy around. Like that small guy is not a problem. And yet the game felt like, yeah, he's really the biggest thing you got to worry about. Like, take him on early. Like, no, I want to take care of the things that are slightly more dangerous. Now, honestly, those lone wolf penalties aren't that much of an issue. Because even while getting them as often as I do, I still end every single mission with a high rank. Like, this game does have a ranking system where you have to, like, how well you perform in it determines whether or not you get A rank, S rank, all that stuff. Most of the time, I get an S rank. Like, on my first try. There's a couple times I've gotten an A, like maybe one B on my first try when I was still sort of learning the game. But for the most part, I get S ranks, which is good because getting an S rank earns you the maximum amount of trust points with your partner for the mission. And ranking is determined by the time you take, the amount of damage you deal. Thankfully, they don't grade you on how much you take. So it's just, you do the most killing you can. Don't just let your partners do all of it. And how high your morale is at the end of the mission. Generally, with all those, like, I don't have too much trouble getting myself up to morale level 10. I'm pretty quick for the most part. I'm aggressive, so I'm dealing a lot of damage. Like, I almost always get S ranks. That's not a problem. God, I'm looking at this like, oh man, they're all like so nervous. Like, you can't take that on. Oh, watch this. We don't stand a chance, huh? I don't know. I think we can handle this. You want to know why? Because, well, this guy is the first boss. Oh, in later missions, he is just going to become a bigger than average mook. I can handle it. No problem. Scream! Honestly, I would think lesser of if like mech piloting was a thing in real life, I would think lesser of anyone who piloted mechs and didn't shout all their stuff. Like, I watch too much Gurren Lagann. And you can tell this is a big triumphant moment because they're playing the theme song. This game kind of uses that trope too much. They're at least nice enough to usually... Okay, so do you think we can handle this? Very first thing I do is bring out my super attack that I built up throughout the stage. It's actually not too hard to build up multiple of them per stage. I'm just still generally pretty nice about it. I'm like conservative about it. And we're done. It literally takes one super attack to take out this boss, and they were all worried about me. Look at that. It's not even just the fact that I usually get S ranks. This is usually what my battle report looks like. Like a clean sweep of S ranks. Like I said, this game is not hard. And if you're thinking like, oh, maybe I should play it on a higher difficulty then. You can't. This game does not have any alternate difficulty levels. What you see is what you get. Honestly, if this game did get a sequel, I probably would. And it had, like, hard mode. I probably would play that. Though at the same time, getting an A rank, or whatever. You know what? I probably would go with with normal, just because it means I'd be getting S ranks easier, which means I'd have an easier time completing it. Yeah, see, this is what Xiaolong is usually like for the rest of the game. Is like, yeah, I can't wait to fight you myself. Like, I'm itching for a fight with you because I recognize you're strong. Oh, don't worry, Hatsuo. I'm amazing. You ain't gotta worry about me. And I thank my super awesome mech that none of you guys are allowed to use. Is it pudding? See, I don't think anyone was taking the picture, though. Oh, I don't know about that. I think that guy I took down was not greater than anybody. I mean, I think I'm greater than everyone. I'm really the greatest you're gonna find. Nah, there's the greater demon. Now, I understand that we don't have the baggage of all these previous games, but, was anybody fooled? Like, they saw her, did anyone think, like, oh, who could that possibly be? It's like, it's Sakura. It's Sakura Shinji. Looks just like her. Yeah, this is also a Sakura Wars tradition. Every chapter ends with a next time. So we get a little sneak peek. Now, normally this would be a fantastic place to stop playing, but we got 45 minutes left. We'll just keep going. So into chapter 2. You may have noticed that we had 2 new faces in that preview. Could they possibly be the last 2 members of the Flower Division? See, Hatsuho and Claris are dressed even if they're alternate costumes, they're dressed pretty normally. It's me and Sakura who just look like weirdos. Yeah, step up your game, Hatsuho. You both did great getting your asses handed to you like that and not dying afterwards. Do you really have to scowl like that, Kaoru? I know you don't like me. I promise, I'll try and fix it. In terms of money, we have no money. But my Mugen is white. Also, I didn't ask for it. You just bought it for me without my input. In fact, we're taking away the food that's on the table right now. Alright, I've got a plan, Sumire. Step 1, make money. Yeah, I don't know how you think that's going to help us. Like, running a military operation is expensive, and even if we have a full house, tickets are like $10 a piece. I'm probably horribly wrong on that. I don't know how much stage show tickets cost. I mean, we're shit, so it's not like $500 Hamilton tickets. Which I think even then is lowballing it. Listen, we live in a universe where there are movies at this point. Our shitty performances ain't bringing in money. Everyone, meet our next member, world superstar Anastasia Palma, dressed like Farah from Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. I want to make a comment about her normal outfit, but I can't. She's dressed like something else. You can, however, tell just by looking at her. She is pretty well blessed. Her normal outfit does nothing to hide that either. So like I was saying before, is this worth getting? It's on sale on PSN? Well, first of all, how much is it on sale for? Because I didn't pay for the game. I got it as a Christmas gift around the time. I think it was $30. No, that's not me. And I think $30 is generally a pretty good price for it. It is a game I enjoyed, but you gotta understand the fact that most of the gameplay is this story stuff you're seeing right now. It's usually it. The amount of gameplay you're getting is honestly pretty limited. And the gameplay itself is pretty shallow. It's not bad, but it's not much to bring you in. Like, you really do have to be here for a game about story. God, those things are huge. Now, Sumire, once again, I don't mean to question your leadership skills, but after just talking about the fact that we have no money, you decided the best thing to do is, yeah, let's hire a world-famous superstar. Like, she can't be cheap. And I imagine she wanted some payment up front. He was probably a lot cheaper. See, why are you still giving him the question marks? We just said his name. Is it because he hasn't technically introduced himself? Now, I said before that I specifically made a point to say Claris was the only female voice that I didn't recognize. That I did recognize right off the bat. I specifically made that distinction because Reiji is the other character. As used the other character. Like, the instant I heard him, I was like, oh, that's Tomokazu Sugita. I watched enough JoJo. I recognize his voice. Now, I knew what that dialogue choice was going to lead to, but I still wanted to pick it. Just because the way I felt it was going to be. Like, he gets pretty antagonistic about him. Like, I thought it, like, he's a pain in my ass. Like, I thought it was going to be like a predator. You son of a bitch! There's not really too much to support that as their sort of relationship, but I like it. That's that old male bonding at work, like we are really at each other's throats, but hey, we're still friends. Welcome to theater. We can't afford to pay you right now. Also, we can't afford to buy you parts. I don't really know what you're gonna do. I'll be sure to talk to you later. First things first, I gotta run around the theater and see if anyone dropped their trash on the floor. I mean, I should see her now, but there's other things I can do. Fine. Okay, at least on my way there I can pick some... Oh, and there's something downstairs, too. And one over there. I got a couple things I can find, but I gotta... Okay, I gotta do this first. Fine. You gotta let me strike out on my own and become independent, game. Alright, so first question first. What's with the trapdoor you put on the floor over there? Alright, I'm executive ticket clipper now. Executive? It's a meaningless title. We give it to people who... give it to... I can't remember. I cannot remember the Futurama quote. And to insecure people to feel better about themselves. I feel better about myself. The Grand Imperial Theater is facing a financial crisis. Wait, we are? What do you mean, unless we can solve it, we won't be able to participate? It's like 2 days away. Are we going to run out of money before then? Or is it like we got to pay a certain amount of admission to be able to actually compete? Come on. Listen, publicity, you're thinking too hard. We're strapped for cash. Let's go to porno. The self-destruct button? Which they do give you the option. And absolutely, that's what I'll pick. I knew things were dire, but I didn't think if we were... I knew things were dire, but I didn't think it was that bad. Like, let's just end it right now. Okay. It's an instrument of your destruction. So it's not a self-destruct button for the theater. It's actually a self-destruct button for me. While I was sleeping, they fit me with a bomb like Android 16. I hit the button and I blow up. All right. Can I leave? Aw. Listen, I'm a little nervous, Sumire. Do I have to do this? Okay, now I get it. I hit the button and this thing springs up like an eject system and it launches me out the window. Got it. Let's do it. They don't even get... I hate that this isn't an analog lips. Like, they should give me the option to choose how hard I press the button. Like, if you turn it down to the bottom, he's like hesitatingly pressing it. If you do it normally, it's just kind of a normal one. And if you go all the way up, he just slaps it with everything he's got. Now, I'm very disappointed that this is not an alternate costume. Like, I should be allowed to play the game just dressed up as Peanut. Now, Peanut's design is yet another example of guest work. Peanut was designed by Kensugi Mori, best known, of course, in fact possibly only known, as the primary designer for Pokemon. Yeah. And by the way, when she says that, she does not mean strictly in the theater. Like, she's just throwing these things down around town. This is how I personify Kamiyama. Like, he is in that costume. He is in the role. Like, he bloots and he bloots loud. What the hell does that mean? Like, don't kill someone in the suit. That'll tarnish his image. See, what she's not telling us is about the spring-locked mechanism inside the suit so that it can turn into an animatronic. I very well could die in there. See, bloot. See, I think he needs one of those little bugle trumpets just in the suit with him. Like, it's stuffed inside the trunk. I will throw myself at whatever task I have to do. Just so you know, I'm reiterating that porno is an option. The kids would be devastated if they found out I wasn't a real elephant. Assuming we can hear anything through the thick suit. Alright, one more question. Do I really not have anything more important to do? Alright, hang on. First things first, there are bromides to collect. Now I have the freedom to walk around because they're giving me 2 places I can go. I'm just here to pick up what you've left on the floor, Kaoru. I sadly can't talk. I mean, I can talk to her, but I wouldn't get anything out of it. See, I think it'd be a great little joke if every time there was a bromide in Kaoru's room, it was one of Sumire in her old days. Okay, so let's see. A lot of side events I can do. But are there any more? Okay, there's a bromide on the second floor up there. And there's one in the control room, which I never have any reason to go into during normal game. You know, I wonder. I'm not sure if I've ever just walked around this place. I'm curious if this is like the one area that I was missing. I mean, I guess not. One of the trophies in the game is walk into every single area in the game. And I feel like I would have gotten that one already because I played the entire game, but I clearly haven't. So once like every area is unlocked, I'm going to have to do that. Oh, great, it's in Japanese. Qingzhang no Ling Tao. Oh, wait, that's Chinese. Luckily, I can read Barricade. Don't be such a pansy, man. If there's not a show on, they wouldn't have any reason to come in here and get dressed, so there's nothing weird in here. Like, is there any explicit reason I'm not supposed to be in here? Yeah, exactly. I'm not just impulse. I'm not doing anything wrong. He literally could have just stood there. Sakura walks in. He's just like, hey, I was looking around. And then he can walk out and leave, and nothing would go wrong. Okay, so here's the big benefit to playing this game on New Game Plus. Like I said, I don't think it's possible to lose ranks with anybody, which means I theoretically have the option to be just a total weirdo. Which means I could at least take a little peek. Although clearly I'm the guy being the pansy. Like I said, if there's not really any real penalty, I should have just gone all the way. Now, of course, you get in trouble for doing that. She gets mad at you, both in-game and, like, just as both in dialogue and for points. But what's the real penalty at this point? Nothing. I can be as much of a weirdo as I damn well please. I promise I will resolve myself to do more in the future. I'm glad I at least had the one chance to chicken out with a character I don't particularly care about. Like, the one time I was a little bit of a pervert in the main game was with Hatsuho, just so you know. So I can always continue that track record. Sakura's not my least favorite of the Flower Division, but she's middle of the road, I would say. I've watched a lot of mecha anime. It's like second nature to me now. Peanut is going to be there all the time. He's packing the trumpet that signals the apocalypse, I will have you know. It's not supposed to be funny, it is funny. This is also very much a part of Kamiyama's character that I give to him. Whenever he's talking about Peanut, he has got a real taste for bad puns. And I would not have it any other way. This is that good shit that I am here for every second of every day. The mermaids. Any other ones I'm missing? Nope. Okay. Hey, Itsuki, what's up? Hi. Well, I hope you enjoy yourself. I currently cannot guarantee that the show will be any good. And she's going to rank our collection. Oh, well, I don't mean to brag, Itsuki, but I have got a massive collection from my first playthrough. Like, I am just showing up with the craziest shit. Like, at this point in the game, you're supposed to have, like, 10 at most. And I'm like, yeah, I've got, like, 60 of them. I don't think Seijuro was all that special, really. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Sakura Wars fans saw him as a replacement Scrappy. That American pioneering spirit, you can tell because they pioneered the series releasing in America. And it had a cowgirl. That was really a good benefit. Usher Crusher, alright. Now, when you say Crusher, do you mean romantic or, like, physical strength? Because if it can be the latter, that'd be great. She gives you a bunch of different names throughout the game. See, I could have talked to that woman in the middle of here, but she was calling to me. And you can tell looking down there, she got started on that poster real quick. Posters are easy. But yeah. See, the bronze statue is an interesting idea, but not only would that take a lot of not only would it take a lot of manufacturing, they'd probably be pretty expensive, and that would really cut into sales. So thankfully, because she already has a poster out, and that this guy is currently considering, I can show you what her normal character design is. That's about the best angle I can get. This game doesn't have a first-person view of any sort. What the hell is that shirt? Like, I understand side boob is a thing, but in a shirt, like, that's her normal top, and it covers the front, and it uses the... Huh. I didn't know the camera did that. And it just uses, like, friction to handle everything else. Everyone else is dressed perfectly normally. What the hell is up with her? Okay, well, I currently can't make any money because we're broke, but I'm still going to spend my money on this. Yeah, sure. I don't know if I'm willing to bet I probably didn't buy that many Claris ones on my first playthrough, because I don't particularly care too much about her. Alright, so, now, what were you doing? Seen a girl in a blue outfit, have you? I've seen Sakura, except she's not wearing a blue outfit in this playthrough. Is she? I forget. I already forgot what her costume is. Was. Hope you find her! Now look. I want to earn my trust points with this random NPC. Okay, so here's this isn't used too often in the game, but certain missions will have a time limit where you only have a certain amount of time to do something. Now, thankfully, I knew where she was from my first playthrough, so there we go. And then Hatsuho just punches the kid. And here comes the giant fist. I want to believe that Kamiyama actually was like being serious about it. Like you are, like I legitimately thought you were going to be stealing this girl's money. The fact that he has to apologize to her does lend credence to that theory. Let's do it. Okay, well, Hatsuho, now that we're both here, let's gang up on the kid. All right, random child. This game does not have that many NPC models. Like, we are going to see the same kid several times throughout the game. Now, sometimes very well might be the same kid. But what was with that fade out and fade in? Like, why was it such a low frame rate? Yeah, see, look, right in the back right now. Different kid that looks exactly the same. God, I love that line. I can't take the crap out of these little squirts. I love you, Hatsuho. I love you so much. I legitimately thought when I first met her, I'm like, all right, you are going to be my romantic choice. But she was not. She ended up getting replaced by who? Well, yeah. First things first. There's bromide up here. There's that peanut platform they were talking about, but let me just be sure. Nothing else to do? I do hate that the bromide locations don't show up on the minimap. Okay, down. Yeah, you know, we'll get that done first. We're getting close to the end of the session, but I know what's going to happen when I step on that peanut platform, and honestly, I'd like to leave it there. So we'll take care of the downstairs first. I don't know. World peace. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. No, sadly, Reiji is not a romance option. I mean, it's basically the same as every other time we first meet a girl, and I'm like, can I ask you on a date? Like, the first time I get the chance to talk to Reiji, I'm like, hey, you free tonight? It's the same energy, really. Okay, well, we've got a giant spirit crystal upstairs. If we chisel off a couple little pieces. Let's go get that giant pickling stone up in the courtyard. Yeah, it is pretty awesome, isn't it? It's out of action until the parts come in. Oh, I got bad news. We can't afford parts. So, are you free tonight? We can do it. We can work on the stage machinery together. I mean, that was sort of a romance moment in the first game, like when Sakura completely destroyed the stage and you like stayed up late helping her fix it. So it really is the same energy. Can I do anything with this yet? No, okay. This will be something we can work with later, but even though we're on a New Game Plus file, until the game officially introduces it to us, we can't do anything. Yes, by the way, despite the fact that this is a 1940s environment with a 1940s Tokyo with steampunk technology, computers do exist. This has been a fact ever since the first game, which, like I said before, takes place in like 29. All right, so I got some peanutting to. I gotta go nut upstairs. Ooh. I like the fact that his mouth is, since you can rotate the camera around it, they do specifically take the time to animate his mouth. And all of the mouth movements are actually very well lip synced. Oh yeah. Looking sexy. Yeah, turn on the peanut charm. I don't know. I look at that. I think that is enough charm already. I'm already smiling. Oh man. I can't get a good look at her, but it's the star of the NES game, Little Red Hood. Even in that costume, she keeps the super tall platform sandals. Okay, so they did properly introduce her. This is Azumi Mochizuki. She is, without a doubt, my favorite character in the game. I'd love to go into detail, but we're almost done for the night, so I'll save it for next week. Self-destruct button activated. Make a joke. Shitty jokes, that's all I know. See, she likes my jokes. That right there is why I like Azumi more than Hatsuho. She likes my jokes. And she just disappeared. Azumi does not walk into or out of rooms. Every single time she enters or exits the scene, she does it by jumping or falling from the ceiling. Alright, anything else to do? Nope. Just head on over to my room. Which I think, actually, if I go over there, that might be a intermission point. That would be a perfect place to break. Let's try it. If it doesn't, then it's no problem. Unlike the first game, I can save at any time. So if this isn't an intermission, then we're all good. And I'm aware that I didn't go into voice acting trivia with Anastasia or Azumi. I'll do that once we have a little more time to meet them. Hey, what's up? Alright, booty call from Reiji. And of course he's doing it automatically, so we gotta sit through this too. Okay, Seijuro, I was meaning to ask this earlier, but what the hell are you wearing? I can get it all patched up in a day, and in that time, I'm going to turn the stage into a giant robot. A new mechanism in the set. I'm thinking about installing a cannon. Let's go with this. What about the ones that blow up? I'm going to assume there are at least a couple of those, and that's something that would be, admittedly, would really get people interested. People would talk about it if the stage just blew up. Yeah, so here we go. This is what the tech in this kind of series looks like. Like, yes, it's all steampunk technology, but we're still setting up a large-scale hologram projector. That are apparently, like, don't have any of those telltale fiction signs of holograms. Like, they look amazing. And it saves us the effort of actually having to make sets. Which is always just a great thing to do. Means more time for us to rehearse on our terrible performances. I don't know why I'm saying their terrible performances. I am doing a fantastic job on the ticket tearing. All right. Oh, never mind. Okay, I guess we are going to get another scene with her. Hello, Azumi. Hey, dang it. I gotta bring back IMDb up. Okay. Yeah, so she's already preparing to kill us. Right. I love how he doesn't even defend himself by saying, like, yeah, I'm your captain, which I mean is the normal thing to do, but it's like, do you want food? And yes, that is the correct answer. Saying, like, do you want food? It took her a second. Azumi is adorable. And she is voiced by Hibiki Yamamura. Now, again, for the most part, I wasn't seeing too much of roles of hers I was familiar with. Except for one. There was one in there that I recognized. She was the voice of Demia in Interspecies Reviewers. To say that they are different characters would be understating it. Like, they are about as polar opposite as you can get. Didn't seem too friendly a moment ago. You don't seem too friendly right now. You still got the kunai in my throat. I think a lot of people, anyone who knows me, like, would have known, like, okay, Azumi would have been his choice. She's a ninja. I like ninja girls. Sometimes it really is just that simple. There legitimately aren't any exits on the ceiling. I don't know where she goes. I can do that another time. For now, let's just stop here for the night. Wow, goddamn. Okay, I will just take a quick second to explain this. The logbook explains all of the events that you will see throughout the game. And this carries over between playthroughs. So you can see, like, I saw almost all of Azumi's events. She's the one I easily got the farthest on, maybe because she has the least. And I think I know the one I missed. Thankfully, there's no trophy for seeing every single event, because that would take like 5 playthroughs to do. It'd be a lot of work. Yeah, where is it? Okay, it is. I was pressing it before. All right then. Actually, yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so that'll be the end of Sakura Wars for the night, everybody. Hope you guys can get excited on us getting some... Oh, hold on a second. Huh, interesting. They have this line in the log, even though it wasn't subtitled. Interesting. Okay. So anyway, that was the end of Sakura Wars. We'll be continuing on with our nice new game. Hopefully at a decent pace. I'm thinking like 8 or 9 sessions for the whole thing. I actually managed to talk a surprising amount tonight. At least early on, I got some stuff to say. See you guys all